Our last section of the day is our Live program, and that is Mark Brimer, who's going to be talking to us about converting sports skills into business success. Mark, you're on deck.
Hello, everybody.
Batter up.
Thank you. So converting sports skills into business success. A lot of us were involved in sports sometimes in our life. I'm going to take you back to a 14-year-old Mark Brimer who just entered high school and so excited to be a high school athlete. First day of cross-country practice, got there. Coach said, go ahead, take 2 laps of the track. Ran those 2 laps. Was feeling really good about myself, and I looked at somebody and said, what a great workout. The person next to me said, that was the warm-up. I was like, oh. So converting it over to business is, when I started my business, it was never the plan for me to own a business. I was just kind of, frustrated with where things were going, and everyone said I could do this. So I said, why not? What's the worst I can do? Lose money? Probably not the best way to start a business, but fast forward 10 years later. Here we are now. We're in business. We're open. We've averaged more than 1 new account a day. Heck, even people watch my goofy Instagram videos. Why, I'm not sure, but they do. The counter to that is, I was fortunate enough in high school to be part of a state or national championship team each of my 4 years of high school. I was a college athlete, ran 3 marathons, and was a high school coach for 17 years. So how do those kind of compare, and what did I learn in between? Well, let's start off easy. Things never really seem as they appear. Being an athlete, of course, is all about the recognition. Just look at the pro athletes and the varsity high school athletes. All they do is have success, right? Just like being a business owner. So glorious. You sit around all day and count your money, right? That's all there is to do. But in sports, you need to make choices. For instance, in running, when you start to sprint to the finish, do you start with 100 meters to go or 300 meters to go? Do you pass people on the left or the right? As a racquetball player, did I make offensive shots or defensive shots? Well, it's similar to a sales conversation, because when you try to close a new account, do you use humor, facts? Are you passive? Are you aggressive? Or do you just try to get that sale? The reality is that, as we all know, hard work and failures is the way to success. Just like I saw on Facebook once, it said the life of a business owner. Life is great, life is horrible. Life is great, life is horrible. Life is great, life is horrible. That was a great 5 minutes. So it's one of those things that you have things that go well some days, not so well some days. And if you get involved in the roller coaster of the good and bad, it's going to be emotionally draining and probably affect your health. So the hardest thing to do is stay above that and just kind of roll with the punches as things go. As a competitive runner, we had 2-a-day practices, which in my world equaled about 1,300 miles in high school. In college, that was 80 to 90 miles of running per week. I didn't always want to lace up those shoes, but once I did, I knew it was the right choice, no matter if it was raining, snowing, hot or windy. Just like in many days as a business professional, we're not as motivated as we should be. We make excuses and even set ourselves up to fail. We find our way to Facebook, ESPN, or quote unquote work on LinkedIn, rather than getting after it and putting that smile on, being focused, and just making good things happen. The training can be grueling, sometimes just downright boring. Just like in business, making yourself in sales call person after person, looking at tons of reports to figure out data, or even just for some people, just going to networking events. I know that's one thing Bill has said before, how much you love networking, right, Bill? Got a smile on that one. Okay, so here's the thing. The one danger is taking your business in a certain direction, in a dead end. It can be detrimental. Just like I learned a valuable lesson the first marathon I ran. I didn't realize how good a shape I was in. I actually ran too slow. I blew it so badly. My last mile of a marathon was a 6-minute mile. That sounds impressive, but not if I was able to run a minute faster for each of the previous 25 miles. I would have actually finished a lot faster. So it's one of those things that you have to be eyes wide open and be aware of your situation. The good news is when you have a great practice session or get that new customer or nail that presentation, it feels great. The other thing to realize is that their perception is their reality, not yours. I'll take you back to my senior year of high school. We had an undefeated season. I was fortunate enough to be part of a great team. And after every race, the parents and other athletes flocked to you. It was great. But the problem is you're exhausted. They wanted to be right in your face and tell you how great you did, which is great to hear. But the reality is, after something like that, something so intense, you just want to be left alone for a moment to decompress and then talk to everybody. But that was not what they wanted. And you were, per se, working with them. Just like employees and customers, they want your attention at the worst time. Well, you're trying to make a decision for the business or complete a task, but you need to put a smile on your face since your success is due to their hard work or them providing you with the connections or opportunities to make your business go. So it's all about working together. The other thing to realize is I think we've all had it sometime in our life is teammates we didn't really want to associate with. But I was always taught that you work with them respectfully because they're teammates. You didn't have to be friends outside the team, just like with coworkers, for instance. I'm sure that someone you've worked with in the past, if you had a corporate job, were very talented. They could do their job, but we didn't really believe in the way they believed or didn't appreciate the way they acted or didn't agree with their choices, but you still have to coexist with them. So learning that from a team aspect in high school allowed me in college to, as well, to learn how to work with people and then just cut ties with them after hours. Many times in business, when describing what you would like your employees to do, they just don't follow what you're saying. Just as I had to help a less than coordinated girl when I was a high school coach understand racquetball. Now I could tell her the way it made sense to me, just like we can tell our employees how we, even our referral partners even, what we want them to think. But the problem is they don't think that way. We're all made differently. So I asked her what other sports she was involved in. My response I got back was none. I'm thinking, how do I handle this? So what other activities do you like? Trying to find another way to interact with her because I wanted to help her be successful because I knew she was trying. Well, she said hiking. Well, how am I going to explain hiking to racquetball? Well, the stride you take in a hike can make a difference on how fast you move or how tired you get, just like the length of a swing. Just like in business, you shouldn't get frustrated if you're trying to explain something to somebody and they just don't understand. Try a different way. Keep going and trying different options to earn their respect and get on the same page. Just like I had a college professor in chemistry. I was dumb enough to ask a question. He gave me an answer. He said, "Did that make sense?" I said, "No." He said the same exact words, word for word. We went through this a couple of times and finally said, "Yep, made total sense," because we'd have been there all day. And after class, a classmate said, "Why did you even ask him a question? He can't answer questions. He can just talk to the board." So be sure you're one of those people that is approachable in a networking or business situation, and with employees especially, find different ways to explain what they need to get the job done for you. So business cannot always be about business, nor can sports always be about sport. There needs to be some humor involved. On one of my teams, everyone had their day. You're expected to come up with a joke of a day. You do your best to make everybody laugh, or at least, make them roll their eyes. In business, it's our responsibility to contribute to our corporate culture because we all want to work with people that we enjoy being around. So whether it be a co-working space, an office, just realize that it's not just your space, it's everybody's space. And do your best to find a way to coexist with those people. I know a lot of people on this call are people who work from home or small businesses, but some of us end up in co-working and networking situations. The other thing is, I know this is going to be a shocker to everybody, but we can't be our best every day. No matter how hard sometimes we want to run our fastest race, make the perfect shot in racquetball, have our best business day ever, we fail, we make costly mistakes and get frustrated. But remember, we learn from those bad days and our failures to create more luck, success, and wins going forward. Look and see how this failure or this non-success can turn into something bigger and better. The other thing is, we really all have bosses. One of my favorite stories is my little niece, Gina. She was about 8 at the time, and we were just talking. She said, "Uncle, you're the luckiest person I know." I said, "Well, why is that?" She said, "You have no boss. You can do whatever you want all day." And I said, "Really?" I said, actually, I have about 2,000 bosses. They're called customers, and they can stop paying me any day they want, and I'll have no money and nothing to do. And the look on her face was, oh, that's a lot of bosses. So again, perception, her perception was one thing, reality is something else. So the other thing, changing that over to sports, is I'll never forget a day when I was in track, and my coach said, or put up the list of where we were going to be running for the day, what events, and I went and said, Coach, I really don't want to run that race. He said, don't worry about it. You don't have to run anything. We'll just leave you at home. The shock look on my face, just like when we make a bad decision occasionally with the customer, was, I'd love to run that race. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Because here's the thing. In business, there's things that shock us too, whether it be numbers or situations. And to stay in business, we need to take care of those certain tasks that make sure that we're successful. We need to make sure we take our emotions out of it when we need to and make sure we're successful, because really in business, I look at decisions as one of two ways. Either it's a business decision or an emotional decision. In sports, we need to push hard. Sometimes we're tired, just like in business. Sometimes we just want to make an emotional decision and say, I'll just do that tomorrow. Even worse, just give up and just not even pursue an opportunity that we know we should. So one thing you have to realize is that a lot of times we give ourselves expectations, but are they realistic? For instance, in running, is that time that I'm expecting myself to complete at the end of a race, whatever it was, is that a realistic finish time? Was I being reasonable with the place I wanted in that race? Or am I disappointed sometimes for no reason? I could have run a great race, but the competition was just a little bit better than me that day. And I did my best, and that's all I can do, but I was still disappointed. Just like in business, do we shoot for unrealistic sizes of sales? Or even a goal for business? Do we say, we want to hit this much in sales this month? I know when I started my business, I had a goal of what I was going to sell that like second or third month. Well, it took me the second or third year to get there. I wasn't being realistic. But a lot of times if we shoot for more realistic things, such as to get that next sale, or to even get another meeting with the person we're meeting with, or even just to get an opportunity to explain more about why us versus our competition, those could all be wins. No matter if it be sports or business, you ideally need to live up to your own expectations, since when it comes right down to it, you're the one who has to look in the mirror and be proud of the person you see every morning when the mirror looks back at you. So make sure when you're making those decisions, you're making realistic ones and setting yourself up for success. Just like training for 3 marathons, it was grueling, not to mention race day. But if you keep focused with clear goals, keep in mind the plan you've given yourself in front of you and follow it, you give yourself the best chance for success, whether it be in sports or in business. In business, we have metrics, reports, and data that we share with bankers and other people to show the value of our business. So that all comes from just being fair to yourself and being prepared. Just like I mentioned in my last presentation, if you're around, you need to hustle daily. That means something different for all of us. What it means to hustle could be different. It could be 2 phone calls. It could be 40 phone calls. It could be chasing after a couple of prospects. It could be following up with people. But just in your mind, figure out what hustle daily means to you, because whatever it means to you will help create the success you strive for. Because no one's going to hustle for you, and you're responsible for your own successes and failures.